All right, y'all. Here it is. Welcome. We're live. Once again, as I told you guys in my other video, I'm going to be going live a lot more, give you guys more value, and apologize. I'm traveling. I don't have my good camera, my microphone. So uh, we're just working with it, right? We're just putting some content out um, to build the channel. Again, um, look, at the end of the day, right? If you're watching this, you probably want to make more money, have more control over your money, uh, attract more prosperity and abundance into your life. And sorry about that. So here's the thing, right? We live in this matrix, right? Everyone talks about the matrix. What is it? What is it? How do you define it? When it comes to money, understand that we live inside of this financial system. The financial system is built upon the legal system, and the legal system is basically just a bunch of corporate fictions, legal fictions, um, and essentially it's based on a lot of fraudulent concepts. So, if you hear a lot of the crypto guys talking about the fiat currencies, right? Well, yes. So the U.S. dollar is a fiat currency, and this is just one currency out of many currencies, um, out of this interconnected web of legal and financial systems that basically have taken over the planet, the world, um, and this is what allows us to operate in commerce, right? The reason that I use the words that I'm using is because I'm giving you guys the perspective and a mindset as to how you should think about money. Because most people live in scarcity with money, which automatically implies they have no control, they have no power. It's scarcity mindset, right? It's being at the effect of things rather than being at cause. So when you're at the cause of your life, when you're in control, you have responsibility over all of these different aspects of life, then you have power. So when we talk about the matrix, it's really just this system. And the system is commerce. The system is this intertwining of um, beneficial interests and the legal system, right? So, like, you have maybe you have some assets, you have some cash, you have a bank account, you have other liabilities, you might have some debt. Um, all of these things just exist on paper as a legal fiction, just like money is just paper, right? If I had a dollar bill, it'd be say it's a legal fiction, right? So what is it, right? Never say if I have one. I have a $5 bill. What is it? A legal fiction. Actually, this represents debt. Doesn't even represent money. It represents the ability to exchange goods or services. Um, Legal tender, right? That's what it says. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Well, let's see. What is the exact definition of legal tender? Coins or banknotes that must be accepted if offered in payment of a debt. Of a debt. What is a debt? Well, a debt is something in which money is owed. How do we define it? What is the definition of debt? Definition of debt, something typically money that is owed or due. The state of owing money, right? Owing money. In this case, money, this is currency, which the government enforces as money, right? If you talked about this before, money is different from currency. But basically what this is saying, it's legal tender for all debts, public and private. Now, what's funny is you say, well, what's enforcing this? It's enforced by debt. So it's backed by debt. It's backed by our $30 trillion in debt, right? So this $5 represents, I don't know, ballpark figure, $500 in debt, right? If I go buy something from you with this, all I'm handing you is a note that's backed by even more debt. This is why the financial system, I think we are not going to speculate on this. There's a lot of things that could happen. Cryptocurrency is taking its place. Their whole claim, of course, is that this is a fiat currency, which means that it's only backed by debt. It's not backed by anything else of value other than the faith and trust in this US dollar legal system. Right? So, in what system does this dollar have force and effect? The US legal system. And now there's other systems that you can exchange this currency for another currency that's part of a similar system, a network of fiat currency systems, if you will. The reason this is important is because probably the most important thing that you can do in your mindset of becoming wealthy is understanding that this has no value. In fact, really, truly understanding that this not only has no value, but technically speaking, it represents negative value. It's kind of a mindfuck. But again, it's part of understanding. So, how do you get people to pay you these little monopoly money paper notes, digital currencies, et cetera, et cetera? You have to exchange value in the marketplace and that sort of thing. But why is it a matrix? Why do I say the money matrix? When people talk about the matrix, they're referring to a system of control, a system that is mostly unseen and misunderstood. So the financial system, a lot of things are hidden. A lot of things are not really understood by the general population. So the value in this is really just a representation of your external value or your ability to generate value and returns in commerce, which is the system of exchange that lives upon this substrate of the legal system, right? And so what I mean by that is, sorry, I am a little bit stuffed up, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Would love to hear your comments, post some comments. But this substrate of a legal system, which, for example, did you guys know that the state that you live in, is a corporation? If you go look up your state constitution, you'll probably see, your state incorporated this date. Just like cities and towns and counties are all incorporated. What does it mean that they're incorporated? Well, what it means is that they're annexing the power or the jurisdictional power of the U.S. legal system is being annexed and delegated to this other jurisdiction, right? So the entire United States runs on the U.S. legal and financial system. The states, have their delegate authority powers and this, that, and the other, but they're all still required to use the U.S. legal system. So when you conduct commerce in Boise, Idaho, you're still using U.S. dollars because that jurisdictional authority was delegated to some other party, some beneficial party, to instrument a trust. So governments have special types of corporations. Banks also have special types of corporations. So the reason it's important is because, yes, you go to, maybe some of you may go to work, you clock in, you work an hourly wage, right? You're trading your time for dollars. And you're paid in accordance to the value that you bring to that time, right? You're paid in accordance to the value that you bring to that hour, right? So the markets dictate what those goods and services are worth in general. And of course, for you to survive, for you to live, you have to then take those dollars in exchange for your own goods and services, for your own survival, et cetera, so on and so on, right? So that's the matrix. Seems pretty unfair, right? Well, the reality is, I've talked about this before, is that the only reason this has value is because of its scarcity. The value of the dollar, the value of money in terms of a currency, is related to its scarcity. It's related to its scarcity because it's the scarcity which gives it value. This is what we're seeing right now, the inflation. Why do you guys probably keep hearing about this? Inflation. The Fed keeps trying to tame the inflation, right? Because what happens when there's too much inflation? Well, the scarcity starts to go down. And if this isn't scarce, it becomes way too prevalent and it starts to lose its value. And therefore, what you can exchange this for becomes a lot less. In other words, you'll start to need a lot more money for a lot less. That gallon of gasoline that was $1 when I was a kid, we see it, somewhere between $3 to $5, goes up and down. At some point in time, we've seen it in some places as high as $10. That's inflation. So, how do you transcend the matrix? Well, number one, you do have to exchange value. You have to exchange value in the marketplace. If what you're exchanging is not valuable, you will not generate much of this. Of course, you can only earn it. This is the key. You can't, people say, go to work and make money. Well, you can't make the money. See that stamp? They're the only ones who can make the money. You got to go earn it. So when you earn this, when you earn the money, you are getting access to the matrix. This is like your ticket. Whatever you want to buy. You want to buy pay your rent. Pay your rent. Pay your rent. The matrix. Of course, even as a real estate investor, I collect the rents, but I'm part of the matrix too, because I owe debt to the banks, so I have to collect the rents, right? Because I want to be good to my investors. The bank is essentially my investor. So that's the high level view of what is the matrix. What is this matrix of money, the money matrix that we're in? And the reality is, Jim Rohn talked about it. He's like, well, if you want to make $100,000 in an hour, you have to exchange something of that value. It is possible, but you have to exchange something of that value for that time. Money is not necessarily always connected to time; it's connected to value. It's just that labor is valued at rates per hour and things like that. Labor is oftentimes valued at intervals of time. So, Financial freedom, by the way, wealth is not just having a ton of money. Wealth is financial freedom, and financial freedom is having cash flow. It's having net positive cash flow that exceeds your living expenses, so you can be free so you can have your time free, right? Because nothing is more valuable than your time. And what I alluded to earlier is really what I want to talk to. What's more valuable? This or this bottle of water, right? Which is more valuable? And the answer is it depends. These are economic factors. This is where economics comes in, right? It depends on the scarcity of this water, right? Now we're talking about scarcity. We're talking about economics. We're talking about the value, the exchange of value, the ability of exchange for something of value. Well, who determines what is valuable? Well, supply and demand, right? Well, what's the supply and demand of money, of capital? And that's where it gets tricky, because a lot of it depends on inflation, the value, the time cost of that money, that capital. So these are just things that I want you guys to think about on the journey to wealth and freedom. Understanding that you are playing a game in an imaginary system, right? You cannot win a game that you don't know you're playing. This is the reason why you might say, this is ridiculous. You're not telling me anything. You're not teaching me anything of value. Okay. But what I am telling you that is valuable is that money is part of a game. It's part of a system. It's a game, right? That you either win or lose. And if you don't know you're playing a game, you're probably losing. So the question is, what are the rules of the game? What is the game? And you have to create your own games. You have to create your own rules sometimes. So everyone is different. What are your needs? So the simple formula for becoming financially free is just simply having positive cash flow after your baseline lifestyle is covered. So whatever that is, your monthly needs are, say, $5,000. Food, rent, gas, car expenses, leisure, whatever it is. And then you somehow have $6,000 in cash flow, net income, passive income, and that would equate to financial freedom. Wealth is a different thing from financial freedom, but financial freedom is far more valuable than wealth because your time is valuable. Of course, wealth, you can buy more time, you can buy more financial freedom. It's a different game. But this is the matrix. This is the money matrix that we're all in. If you guys are playing the hourly dollars per hour game, that's the game that everyone else is playing. That's just where you start out. That's starting out as a pawn, right? You're starting out as a pawn in the game. How do you become the king? Become the king, moving towards financial freedom, moving towards autonomy, value of your time, higher exchange, better exchange, profit, arbitrage, opportunity, creativity, all the things that money can't really buy. The more that you focus on those things, the exchange, the positivity, the good energy, the things that people actually pay you for, that's how you build value. That's how you build equity, right? People talk about equity. Well, how do you build equity in the game as a piece of, as a pawn or a king or a piece on the chessboard? That's how you do it. Start increasing the exchange, increasing the value, increasing the level of exchange that you provide as you play the game. We have kind of this like mentality for people who work these very menial jobs that the world kind of owes them something. It's unfair. The deck is stacked against them. But what are they doing to provide more value? What are they doing to get paid more? there's a lot of jobs that pay a lot more than what most people makes. The question is, why doesn't everybody make good money? And that's because they're not building skill sets. They're not looking for ways to improve their exchange in the job market. So the job market is just another tier in the game, right? It's a subset of business. Business is a subset of small business, large business, corporatocracy, um, public capital, that sort of thing. There's a lot of sides to this game. So the reason I'm talking in kind of a kind of broad terms is just to get you guys thinking about where you are in this game, where you are. Because if you look at where you want to be, if you look at who you think you should be, what you should have, where you should be in this game, if you don't understand the full scope of the game, you'll never get there. You have to understand the game. So, money, master the game. That's what we're here for. It's a journey, guys. It's a lifetime practice. It's a lifetime of learning. Just like any other skill set, money is a skill set. And the game of money is a framework that existed before you were here. It existed before I was here. Sure, things have changed. There are different rules, new regulations, government, politics, et cetera, et cetera. That's going to change all the time. But in general, anything is possible if you have the right mindset. You realize where you're at. You look at the possibilities and how you play the game, and you take action towards your goals. But I think that's a good place to start. I'll see you guys in the next one.